In the spring of 1969, American soldiers in the Mekong Delta were dying to a threat they could not locate. Enemy snipers with the home field advantage were picking apart patrols from distances the American infantryman, armed with his M16, could not effectively answer. Something had to change. What the army reached for was a rifle that was, technically speaking, already obsolete. A carefully rebuilt version of a battle rifle the military had been moving away from for years. That rifle would go on to define an entire generation of American sniper doctrine. And then, at the height of its reputation, the United States Army officially decided it no longer needed what that rifle could do. This is the story of the M21. The M14 had not had a particularly graceful exit from frontline service. Adopted in the late 1950s to replace the M1 Garand, it was itself replaced by the M16 within just a few years. A rifle that was lighter, faster firing, and better suited to the close-quarters jungle combat that Vietnam was demanding. The M14 was, by 1968, largely a rifle without a role, except that it was extraordinarily accurate. And in a war where the enemy had decided that one well-placed shot was worth more than 100 rounds of suppressive fire, accuracy was suddenly the most important thing an American rifleman could offer. The Army's sniper program was, at that point, barely a program at all. As had happened after World War II and Korea, once the shooting stopped, the snipers were disbanded, the specialized rifles boxed up, the training manuals filed away. The prevailing military philosophy of the nuclear age held that any future war would be decided by missiles and mass, not by a single man behind a scope. The designation of sniper had been removed from the Army's table of organization entirely when the M14 was adopted. Vietnam was proving that decision wrong at enormous cost, and the Army needed an answer it could field quickly. The solution came out of 3 separate commands working in parallel. The Army Weapons Command at Rock Island Arsenal in Illinois, the Combat Development Command at Fort Benning in Georgia, and the Limited Warfare Agency at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. Their conclusion was straightforward. The M14 in standard configuration was a service rifle, but a carefully selected match-grade M14, hand-fitted with national match components, a glass-bedded stock, and a revolutionary new optic, was something else entirely. Rock Island Arsenal converted 1,435 M14 national match rifles into what would be designated the XM21. These were not standard-issue M14s pulled from a depot shelf. National match designation meant each rifle had already been selected and prepared for competition shooting, hand-fitted components, match-grade barrels from makers like Douglas and Shiloh, unitized gas systems that held their settings under sustained fire, flash suppressors reamed to exacting specifications. The stocks were glass-bedded, a labor-intensive process that locked the barreled action into the stock with near zero movement, producing a degree of shot-to-shot consistency that a production service rifle simply could not match. Each completed XM21 was then individually test-fired and certified before it was issued. These were rifles built the way a watchmaker builds a watch, one at a time, to tolerances that mattered at 900 meters. But the hardware was only half the answer. The other half was a scope that a second lieutenant named James Leatherwood had conceived to solve one of the oldest problems in long-range shooting. Estimating range, calculating bullet drop, making mental corrections in the fraction of a second before a target moved, that was the work that separated a good shot from a confirmed kill at distance. The adjustable ranging telescope combined range finding and bullet drop compensation in a single mechanism. The shooter bracketed the target within the reticle, adjusting the scope's power to frame a standing man between the stadia lines, and a cam system inside automatically applied the correct holdover. The training phrase became 3 words. Frame, aim, fire it was. For its time, a genuinely remarkable piece of engineering. and the rifles that carried it were, beginning in the second half of 1969, flowing into Vietnam and into the hands of men who were about to demonstrate what a semi-automatic precision rifle could accomplish in combat. The XM-21 performed. Not without friction, field maintenance in tropical heat and monsoon mud was a recurring complaint. And the glass-bedded action that gave the rifle its accuracy also made it difficult to disassemble in the field without disturbing Zero. Snipers who carried it learned to treat it less like a service rifle and more like a precision instrument, cleaned every night, handled with care, never field stripped by anyone but the armorer who had built it. That discipline was the price of the accuracy it delivered. The Army's own evaluation, conducted by the Army Concept Team in Vietnam, found end users expressing between 75 and 100% confidence in the M14-based system. The final report from Army evaluators stated that the major reason for the preference of the M14 was greater range and accuracy, and recommended that the accurized M14 be designated the standard sniper rifle for all units, not limited to Vietnam, but globally. There was a second advantage the XM-21 carried that no report fully captured in a single line. It was semi-automatic. After the shot broke, the sniper did not have to cycle a bolt, disturb his cheek weld, and reacquire the target. He was already there, in jungle terrain, where a target who sensed the shot might drop or move in the half-second it took to work a bolt. That capability was not a convenience. It was the operational difference between a confirmed kill and a missed opportunity with the enemy now alerted to your position. The Army had specifically weighed bolt-action alternatives and rejected them on these grounds. The semi-automatic design provided rapid follow-up shots, allowed engagement of multiple targets, and gave the sniper a meaningful chance of defending himself if compromised. The Marine Corps went a different direction. Their M40 was bolt action, built on the Winchester Model 70, chambered in .30-06. Both rifles were in the same war, in overlapping terrain, doing the same mission. The Army chose semi-automatic speed and 20-round capacity. The Marines chose bolt-action precision and simplicity. That philosophical divide would define American sniper procurement arguments for the next 20 years. The XM-21 was officially type classified as the M21 in 1975, with an upgraded fiberglass stock replacing the original walnut. By then, the war that had built it was over, and what happened next was entirely predictable, because it had happened after every major American conflict of the 20th century. The sniper program went dormant. The rifles were warehoused. The men who had carried them, who understood the adjustable ranging telescope at the cellular level, rotated out of service. The training pipelines shut down. The field manuals went back onto shelves. And the hard-earned institutional knowledge of how to select a sniper, how to pair him with a spotter, how to integrate precision fire into infantry operations, knowledge that had been built under fire in Vietnam at genuine cost, began to dissolve. The Army's dedicated sniper capability had been rebuilt from almost nothing in 1969. By the late 1970s, it was approaching nothing again. It was the same pattern the United States Army had followed after World War II and Korea, and the lesson it kept failing to retain was straightforward. The expertise required to field an effective sniper program cannot be reconstructed quickly. It takes years to build and very little time to lose. That changed when Cold War tensions in the late 1970s drove renewed interest in a formal Army sniper school. The question of what rifle the school would use had to be answered. In 1976, the M21 was tested competitively against the M40A1 and several other candidates. It held its own, and the Army elected to keep it. The rifle that had been born in the Mekong Delta survived into a new era, present at Grenada in 1983, still listed as the Army's standard precision rifle, still trusted by the men who had worked with it long enough to know both its capabilities and its limits. But the army was changing its thinking, and the arguments against the M21 were accumulating. The maintenance criticisms were real and documented. A Fort Benning publication from 1989 warned formally that the M21 could not be maintained under field conditions, and that its inflexible design made it highly susceptible to malfunctions, specifically citing the scope mount and the glass-bedded action that made field disassembly problematic. Beyond the maintenance issue, military planners in the early 1980s were constructing a new mental model of where the next war would be fought. Not jungle. Not Europe's rolling hills and forest lines. The Middle East, flat, open, long sightline terrain where a sniper's primary task would be single precision shots at maximum range, not rapid target transitions in dense cover. In that model, the bolt-action rifle looked increasingly attractive, simpler to maintain, more consistent at extreme distance, where the gas-operated action of a semi-automatic introduced mechanical variables that a bolt gun eliminated, and purpose built for the sniper mission rather than adapted from a battle rifle already retired from its original role. The semi-automatic follow-up capability, the M21's defining advantage, was being reframed as unnecessary complexity for a future conflict that planners expected to look nothing like Vietnam. In 1985, the Army issued a survey to firearms manufacturers requesting proposed specifications for a new sniper weapon system. Remington responded with a design based on the Model 700 bolt action, a proven commercial platform in production since 1962. Remington received the production contract in 1987. After testing, the Army formally adopted the system as the M24 sniper weapon system, with fielding beginning in 1988. The M21 was officially retired. The M24 was not a bad rifle. That needs to be stated plainly, because the story of the M21's return is sometimes told as though the M24 was a failure, and it wasn't. It was accurate, durable, and well-suited to the environment it had been designed for. The Remington Model 700 action had earned its reputation across decades of commercial production before the Army ever touched it, and the M24 version was built to tighter specifications than anything available over a gun counter. When the Gulf War came in 1991 and American forces deployed into the flat desert terrain that Army planners had envisioned a decade earlier, the M24 performed as intended. Long distances across open ground, engagements at ranges that rewarded precision over speed, firing positions that could be selected and prepared rather than improvised in a firefight. In that environment the M24 had been designed for, single-shot bolt-action discipline was not a limitation. It was the correct tool. The M24 was the right rifle for that war. The problem was the next war, and the one after that. Afghanistan's mountain villages and Iraq's urban alleys demanded a different kind of precision work. Targets appeared and disappeared in seconds. Engagements happened at ranges where a second shot, or a third, was often the difference between mission success and a compromised position. The Army had also developed a new concept: the designated marksman, a trained shooter attached at the squad level to bridge the gap between the standard infantryman and the dedicated sniper team. That role required a semi-automatic precision rifle. The M24 was a bolt gun. It could not fill the slot that the new doctrine had created. The Army went back to the warehouse. M21s and M14 variants were reissued to soldiers deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan, more than 15 years after they had been officially declared obsolete. Not out of sentiment, not out of tradition, because the operational need that had produced the XM21 in 1969, a semi-automatic precision rifle capable of accurate fire at extended range, with the ability to shoot again before the target moved, had never gone away. It had simply been declared unnecessary by planners who expected a different war. and it returned the moment that war arrived. The improvised solutions that followed made the logic plain. Rock Island Arsenal developed the M14 Ibra RI, a modernized chassis mounting an updated M14 Action with standardized optic rails and night vision capability, the M21 concept rebuilt with modern materials. The Army fielded it explicitly as an interim solution. It was eventually replaced by the M110 semi-automatic sniper system, a purpose-built semi-automatic precision rifle doing, with suppressors and Picatinny rails, precisely what the M21 had done since Vietnam. The Army had spent the better part of 2 decades and 2 wars rebuilding from scratch what it had walked away from in 1988. The M21's story is not about a perfect rifle. It had genuine flaws, the demanding maintenance, the finicky bedding, the weight. The men who carried it knew those flaws better than anyone. What they also knew, from experience that no planning document could replicate, was that the rifle's defining capability was not a luxury. The ability to fire a second shot without cycling an action, to stay on target, stay in position, and engage again inside the same breath, is not a refinement of precision shooting. It is a different category of capability entirely, one that bolt-action accuracy cannot substitute for when the situation demands it. The Army decided in 1988 that it no longer needed that category. The conflicts that followed required it anyway. The M21, as a fielded system, belongs to history. But the argument it represented, that precision and speed are not competing values, that a sniper needs the option of a fast second shot as much as he needs the accuracy of the first, was never settled. It just had to be rediscovered, at cost, in places the planners hadn't expected to fight. Some lessons cost more than one war to learn.